In general, today's session, Dynamic CRM Mobility Update. In general, my apologies. I think we could have come up with a fancier title. I inherited that one. I somewhere read the cloud Chuck Norris would have built. I like that one a lot more. So maybe next year we need to work on something more exciting. My name is Jan or Jen Peterson. I work in the sales organization of Dynamic CRM. I don't sound like it, but I'm based in Sydney. My role is described as a technical solution professional. That's a kind of Microsoft expression for a solution architect or technical solution architect in the sales organization. So normally I work with various customers, trying to convince them that from a technical and feature function capability level, Dynamic CRM has all the capabilities they need. Today we have 75 minutes to talk a bit about the mobility part of Dynamic CRM. I have 4 sections planned. The first one, starting slow, having in mind that it's 8:30 on a Friday morning, and you have seen a lot of slides, a bit general observations and market trends. Then we look, where are we today with CRM 2015? What kind of features, functions, capabilities are available as of today? Then we start to look at Dynamic CRM 2016, the next big release, which is currently scheduled for December 2015. And then one slide, more high-level thoughts on what's beyond 2016. In general, if you have any questions, please feel free to interrupt me. I think with a rather small and selected crowd, for me it's a lot more exciting to have interactions and show you a lot of slides about upcoming feature functions and capabilities. Before I start, may I ask who of you works with Dynamic CRM at the moment? So roughly half. And of the people who do work with Dynamic CRM, do you use a mobile client in any form or shape? No. Okay, so that's actually good. Then I can basically start for the basic and assume that everyone has a limited but a common knowledge, which makes my job a lot simpler. Okay, as I said, starting slowly, it's 8:30. Observation and trends. I think if we all live in the year 2015 and we all work in IT, so the following 5 to 10 minutes shouldn't tell you a lot of new things. It's just the foundation for the following things that I'm going to explain. I mean, I guess that's one picture, I think, that summarizes our world quite well. It's not my family, but my daughter is 4, and it could be my family at some point in time. So we have this rule, no smartphone at the dining table, and it's sometimes really hard to enforce that. And I think that's just a representation where we are nowadays, that essentially we spend, I don't know what percentage of the day looking at mobile devices. So mobile devices are part of our daily life. When we try to apply that to business applications, there are many data points that you can look at. There's one rather extreme from Gartner. Gartner, kind of the independent analyst company. Mobile devices are a major disruptor for sales application. That means looking at customers, looking at analysts, they all say, well, mobility is one of the key areas of the future. I mean, if you agree or disagree, it's the biggest impact on Salesforce automation since the laptop. Maybe yes, maybe no. I'm not the person to judge that. But just another data point analysts say is critical. And I guess all of you have seen that slide about 500 times in the last 4 days. It's just also the vision where, or the message, we as Microsoft, as a company, are embracing this trend and actually making it part of our DNA. So mobility is really the key driver for a lot of developments that we do. As I said, you have seen that before. Looking at Dynamic CRM in general is mobility. The mobility and the vision behind that, there are different pillars. I think most interesting are productivity everywhere. Number one is Dynamic CRM is part of our productivity stack. So together with Office 365, Dell, Fiamma, you've all seen the different bits and pieces in recent days. And we want to provide the capabilities provided by the stack on all mobile devices. I think it's not a big surprise. Key point is it needs to be on an enterprise-grade level. From an IT point of view, scalability, security, configuration capabilities, all those kind of things. But also from a business and end user point of view, you want to have a compelling user experience on all mobile devices. Mobile platform for business analysts, another important part of the vision. Of course, I think most of us here have an IT background. But at the end of the day, one of the advantages of CRM is that you can configure it rather easily. And the idea here is that business analysts are able to do most of the configuration, or at least parts of the configuration themselves. Changing business processes, doing smaller changes, all that shouldn't be a 3-month IT project, but more something a business analyst does. And disconnected with business apps, we talk a bit about that later on. Maybe always interesting piece is mobility is very cool, but when I looked at, I stay in a hotel about 7 km away from here. In the morning I had 1 bar reception with Telstra. I mean, that's always those kind of things. Mobility sounds great, but when you actually need it, quite often you don't have a decent reception. Talk about that a bit later. That was the high-level vision. So looking a bit with Dynamics CRM, where are we as of today? As most of you haven't used the Dynamics CRM client, maybe before I talk about this, I give a quick background. So as of today, we have a very comprehensive mobility or mobile offerings, which include dedicated apps for all major platforms. I mean, it's hard to admit, but Windows phones don't have a market share of 100%. So we provide clients for Android, iOS, and Windows phones, and we provide dedicated client for tablets and phones. So with that, pretty much we are able to cover 98% of the market share. We talk a bit about later about the features and functions of those mobile clients, as they give you access to 99% of the mobile clients. And this slide is just one data point to prove that our customers are actually picking up those mobile capabilities. I mean, this one is downloads from iOS and updates for iOS. One of the product managers mentioned they show iOS here because they provide the most comprehensive or sophisticated graphs. Not sure about that. I mean, the same graphs comparable exist for iOS, for Android and Windows Phone. And one data point is here. The number of downloads or accumulated downloads is going up. But I think more important, looking at consumption and usage, the number of requested upgrades is also going up. That's just one data point. Customers start to heavily use our mobile applications. Maybe that's also part of my daily work. I'm part of the sales organization. When you start to talk to customers and prospects, and they say, well, what are your key drivers? Mobility is always one of them to look at a modern CRM system. So I guess also no major surprise here. I said it's Friday morning, so maybe do 2.5 minutes of a video, just an example of a customer, Gary, who's using Dynamics CRM Mobility with a lot of other bits and pieces of the Microsoft product portfolio. Last video, and after that we jump to the actual product and look in a bit more detail. Oh, that's on the wrong screen.
We're an 85-year-old luxury retailer in the middle of Hollywood luxury capital of the world, which is Beverly Hills. And as Beverly Hills has grown into becoming the fashion and entertainment capital of the world, so has Geary's. When you walk into Geary's, you should expect to be warmly welcomed by our sales associates. And they're here to service you whether you're buying a gift for $15 or you're spending $15,000 on a place setting of dinnerware. We have a very broad clientele from kids to Hollywood moguls. In this day and age, if you're not dealing digitally, you're not keeping up with the times. If you don't have the right information at the moment you need it, you're handicapped.
You can't grow and keep your records on paper. You need to make one voice. You need to have one place where you're keeping all of that information. Microsoft Dynamics GP obviously keeps track of everything that we do. It keeps track of our inventory, it keeps track of our clients, it keeps track of our orders. We then turn around and we bring all of that information into Microsoft Dynamics CRM Online.
I use CRM to keep track of my clients. I utilize my tablet mostly because I'm able to walk around and navigate through past visits with them, being able to go through and say, oh, remember that vase that you were looking at? You know, there's a couple of other options we could look at.
The benefit that we see in combining Microsoft Dynamics GP and Dynamics CRM Online is a better ability to forecast what our clients are buying, what they're interested in, what they're doing, so that we're not missing an opportunity, we're not playing catch up, we're out ahead of it all the time.
All those pieces of papers and all those ledgers you used to keep and all that stuff people have is all in one place. It moves a little store like ours into the 21st century. With the inventory control and better service to our customers, I anticipate a 10 or 15% reduction in cost.
Our employees really do see the benefit in it. You can deliver uncompromising service in an old-fashioned way in a 21st century format. It's exciting to see them embrace it.
Microsoft has given me, as the CEO, all the information I need at a moment's notice. The future is definitely going to be online. That's why we've invested in being able to market directly to the right consumer online, as well as in our store. Dynamics GP and Dynamics CRM Online are helping Geary's propel into the future.
Okay, that was a very sales-ish video. Why did I show it? Primarily two reasons. Reason number one is just a proof point where our customers are actually embracing and using our software in the mobile space. I think more important, it shows another important piece of mobility. It's only one piece of, or one building block, which is part of a bigger solution. So mobility itself is never fully solving all customer experience issues or the challenges that businesses have, but it's an important building block of a bigger construct. I think you saw it quite well. Actually, inventory tracking or the back office ERP capabilities are critical, and mobility is one building block to surface that in a compelling way to the end user. That was about 10 minutes, high level, bit of setting the scene. Anyone still awake? Kind of. Okay. So far, no questions. Good. With that, we come more to the nuts and bolts of mobility. Where are we today? Maybe a quick background about release strategies and available capabilities when you're not too close to Dynamics CRM. So what we do, we have 2 annual releases. About almost a year ago, December, January 2015, we released CRM Dynamics 2015. Then 6 months later, we had an update. And the next big release is coming December this year, or scheduled for December this year, which is CRM 2016. Important information is that only every second release is made available on-premise. So the January 2015 release was made available on-premise. The December 2016 release will be made available on-premise, but the June-July release of this year wasn't made available on-premise. That's not a technical constraint on the Microsoft side. That's more what we hear from customers, that in the on-premise world, we have this pressure to continuously update and upgrade. Customers don't like to hear when they upgraded that their upgrade project took longer than bringing out the next release. So it's more like addressing customers' demand. But this one talks about the 2 releases that we had in the last 12 months. Is anyone working of you with Dynamics CRM 2013 or 2015 in any form or shape? Okay, half of you. So half of you have seen the web UI of Dynamics CRM 2013. Okay, well, don't spend too much time on it. Important background information here for the people who haven't worked with CRM 2013 or newer. As part of 2013, we completely rewrote the UI for the browser. Before that, it looked a bit like a clunky version of Outlook. I hope that's not true. With 2013 and beyond, it has completely refreshed, taking all the modern web UI paradigms into an account that you would expect from a modern UI. I mean, touch-based enabled, responsive web design, all those different bits and pieces, HTML5 enabled, you name it. In general, what we already achieved with 2015, and that we work for quite a while, is this approach of configure once, deploy everywhere. The idea here is that you need to do your backend configuration only once, and you can then deploy it to all different kinds of channels and applications. Traditionally wise, we used Outlook or the Outlook plugin as one of the core UIs for Dynamics CRM that is still available. In modern times, web UIs have become more and more common. We all support that. And in more recent times, mobility has become one of the core UIs for CRM. And the important point here is all these different devices and platforms, Outlook, web, and mobility, provide access to, I would say, 99% of all CRM capabilities. And it's just a different channel to access those capabilities, those business processes, those kind of data points. And essentially, it depends on your needs and your preferences which data point you pick. And this configure once, deploy everywhere is really, from an IT point of view, the message where you don't need to tailor the application for every mobile device and every other platform that you're using, but you only do it once. With that, are most of you familiar, or are you familiar with essentially the general, I call it metadata-driven configuration approach of Dynamics CRM, this drag and drop interface that instead of basically starting up Visual Studio, you have a kind of form designer, a kind of UI that allows you to add fields to define business rules? Have you seen that in the past? No, okay, most of us said no, then maybe I spend 2 minutes showing a few things. Okay, that's the web UI, not the mobility UI. You might have seen a few screenshots. On top, you have the beloved hamburger menu that you can open, and which gives you access to the main areas of dynamic CRM. And behind each of these tiles, there's another area of records that you can look at. What I did here, I drilled down to an opportunity, and we see to a lead, and we see detailed information about that specific lead. Point of contact information, address, activities around it, who are the stakeholders, and so on. When I spoke about metadata-driven configuration, I'm logged on here as an administrator. So I have here a form editor. Internet is a bit slow. And you see exactly the information when you see here summary, topic, name, job title, and so on. And you can drag and drop additional fields from here to here. You can create new fields. So basically, I would say 85% of the configuration of dynamic CRM is done with that kind of UI. So you can write your own plugins with Visual Studio and all the nice development tools, but the core configuration is done with this approach. When we talk about configure once, deploy everywhere, the idea is that you configure all the different devices with this approach, and in best case, you only configure those kind of forms once and then deploy to all the different devices. Let me give you an example how that looks in real life. Again, that's the web UI. One thing that we will look at a bit later is what we call business process flows, which is if you have kind of business processes that span different steps. Here's a classical, if you look in a lead, you want to qualify it, you want to develop it, potentially there's a proposed stage where you go back to the customer and so on. In each of those steps, there are different data points that have to be collected. And it's also possible that dependent on information that you collected in a previous step, you won't branch out to different information. And that's just a guided navigation through more complex business processes. We'll look at it a bit later. So this one is the web UI. Because Microsoft gives us people in sales fancy devices, I got my Surface here, which is also able to run the mobile client for tablets, which is this one. It's, in this case, the app out of the Windows Store. As I said, if you have an Android device or an Apple device, the same app is available in your App Store. So when I swipe here, as a typical drill and swipe, what I can do here is I look at the lead. So I click on Adrian, the lead that we just looked at. And when you compare, you get exactly the same information. Contact, topics. You get the information about the stage of the lead on top. When you go to the when you go to the right, you see open activities, notes, and so on. Just remember, look here, topic, first name, topic, and here's slightly first name, last name. So it's really you configure this form once, and you get a tailored UI for every device. That was tablet. Let's look at the phone. I use here Project My Screen, which is a very nice app. It's a Windows app. Basically, it's a bidirectional tool between your Windows phone and your laptop. So basically, I can go here, my opportunities. I see my leads here. I drill down on the lead. Again, I see the same information on my phone. I can swipe to the right. And I see all the other information that I saw on the tablet. So it's really one data set, one business process, just tailored UIs on all devices, and you only have to configure them once. Okay. That was a very quick, high-level overview of what we mean around about configure once, deploy everywhere. We're talking here about 2015. So with the 2015 release, actually the second 2015 release in June, July this year, we completely rewrote the mobile phone app. And then we spent now 3 minutes or so looking at the mobile phone app. No one of you worked with that app before, is that correct? Anyone volunteered? No, okay. So, first of all, maybe let's compare a bit more what the difference between tablet and mobile, or tablet and phone. I go back here to home. Oop. I should switch. This is again the mobile app. When you see, I see my activities, my opportunities, my open leads, my open opportunities. When I click here on my open opportunities, I get a list of all opportunities who are on this stage. And again, if I drill down on the topic, I get all the information. Oops, sorry, I misclicked. I can drill down to the opportunity. So going back to home, remember my activities, my open opportunities, my open leads, and so on. When I go back to this device, you see my activities, I swipe to the right, my open opportunities, my open leads, and so on. So exactly the same information. If you can use one, you can use the other one. It's just tailored to the real estate of the small device. Let's play a bit around with the different things here. First of all, I go back to home. When I click, this one is my configurable homepage. I pinned a few tiles on here. One thing is my activity sales dashboard. I tap on this, and I get all the different overview about my current opportunities. I tap here on the first stage, and I see there's one opportunity in this stage. If I'm interested here, I drill down further, and now I get an overview about all relevant information about this opportunity. I see Adrian is my point of contact, summary information, and other bits and pieces that are important to work on this opportunity. And I now say, well, I want to call Adrian. I press the phone button. It asks me, do you really want to dial this number? In this case, I don't. Actually, I don't know. It's an Australian number, but I never checked who's on the other side. The system automatically creates a phone call in the back end. So maybe I say here, subject, ignite call, and I save it. So with this, we created an activity that is linked against this opportunity and against this specific contact. So very easy. It's also when I click on the develop stage on top, I see what are the information that are required to get collected in this step. Other nice feature that was kind of enhanced with Dynamics CRM 2015, it's a search on top. So if I tap here and say, well, show me Amy, I search, I see, well, there's a user called Amy. If I say, well, I want to find Maria, the system is smart enough to don't look after users, but look after context. Well, there is a Maria. If I want to, I can tap on her and get additional information about her 360-degree contact view. So far, you're still with me? Any questions about this? Okay. It is Friday morning, I know. So prior to 2015, we already had a mobile app, just configure once, deploy everywhere, and some of the features that I showed you were just not available on the mobile client. So that has been fixed with 2015. Another topic which causes a lot of discussions in my job role is security. What we released as part of 2015 is support for good, so one of the leading mobile device management solutions. There's a dedicated app in the Good store. If you go there, you can download the Dynamics CRM app. We talk a bit about Intune as a solution when we talk about 2016, but that's one of the areas, encrypting data, enforcing some kind of security rules that more or less every customer asks about. As I said, Intune, we talk about as part of 2016 overview. I know there's a big list of other MDM and MAM solutions that customers ask about. Most of them are on our to-do list. It's just basically, it's a resource question that one after the other gets supported. It just takes a bit of time and effort. It's actually, I think the applications have to be certified on both sides. So Good has to do some work, Microsoft has to do some work, and they just, I think, started to one which is used most broadly, especially in FSI. I think Good is one of the, at least in my world, that I meet most of the time. Okay, so that's available. Another exciting piece. Oh, yep, question.
Android support, is that something on being planned? Because Good is only on the iOS, the CRM app piece.
I need to come back. So the question is, do we support Good on Android? I thought we do, but I need to come back on you. I know that.
Because they don't have a CRM app, that's for sure, on Android.
Okay. If you come to me afterwards, I note down your name and I try to figure it out. Sorry for that. Field 1. So if you follow the press, there are very heavy investments from Microsoft in Dynamics CRM. And various bits and pieces we don't build out ourselves. Instead, we're acquiring companies who actually did this work, already built it out on top of Dynamics CRM. And most of you might have heard the term XRM, Extended Relationship Management. I personally don't like the expression too much. What it describes is the framework that Dynamics CRM provides to build and configure your own applications. So you can see it as a kind of underlying layer that allows you basically to build any kind of relationship management related software. And we as Microsoft invested some IP and built out sales, service, and marketing application on top of this CRM stack. And what Field 1 did was not taking our sales, service, and marketing capabilities, but leveraging this platform to build out something themselves, which is really tailored on field service. So I mean, I think I simplify a lot, but oversimplified, what does field service mean? First of all, you have some kind of route optimization. You are a field service agent. You need to know what's the best way to visit all those 20 customers of today. You need to know what kind of spare parts do I need, what kind of service contracts and SLAs exist with that specific customer. Is there anything else I need to know about it? And then, of course, you need to execute. So basically, you need to track your activities. If you're in front of a customer, you have to confirm that he agrees that the SLA was met, and all those bits and pieces are delivered by Field 1. And as I said, it's a native application or natively built on our XRM platform. Why did I mention this in the context of Dynamics CRM and mobility? There is a dedicated capability for field service employees, and that, of course, is a mobile workforce. And life is full of coincidences. Are you familiar with Resco? Oh, okay. I see one person nodding, and sorry, for you that's no news. So far, I showed you the Microsoft Dynamics CRM mobile app. Other partners build out their own apps. Resco is essentially the market leader of the independent mobile apps on top of Dynamics CRM. And what Field 1 used is not the Dynamics CRM that I just showed you, but Resco. It's just one of the fun facts. Resco in some areas has some nicer features. In other areas, our app is a bit more sophisticated, but just important to know. If you look at this app, you get something which looks slightly different than what I just showed you. It's actually commercially part of the Field 1 bundle, so you don't have to bother about licensing and pricing. It's just important to know. So important feature that we delivered as part of this acquisition in 2015 is support for field service employees. Okay. Who in the room has a more development focus? I asked that. Who's the developer? Oh, quite a few. Okay. So again, that's a bit more in your area then. What I described so far was in general more employee facing. You want to give your employees access to CRM capabilities on their mobile devices. This one here, of course, is applicable to employees too, but it's more common when you talk about customers and prospects. You can tailor the UI and the UX of the mobile app a bit, but quite often, especially when you talk about customer-facing apps, there are very specific requirements in regards to corporate identity and how the app should feel and behave. And as part of 2015, we released an SDK, or actually enhanced the SDK, which includes project templates and project accelerators, as well as an enhanced documentation, which should simplify to build out those custom apps on top of Dynamics CRM. So you need some kind of special user experience, but you want to surface data from CRM. This is some kind of help that Microsoft provides you to make it easier and quicker. Another important acquisition was ADX Studios. So again, so far we focused on the internal side, employee-facing side. Quite often you want to surface or interact with your web page or other public-facing portals from a CRM point of view. So in the typical cases, maybe someone wants to change his address on your website. Most likely you would like to feed that back into CRM. How do it the best way? And ADX Studio is another ISV solution built on top of the Dynamics CRM XRM platform, also leveraging ASPX, that allows to easily build portals that interact with the CRM platform. And my job 90% of the time, prior to the acquisition, when we spoke about customers who ask about portal frameworks, we always recommended that solution. So we are very happy that we actually acquired it. Why did I bring up portals in the context of mobility? Especially in the age of responsive web designs, quite often you want to make sure that your portal or your web page also renders fine on mobile devices. I just read recently, I think that now more than 50% of the Google visits are via mobile devices, and ADX Studio allows you to tailor your portals and your web pages so that they render on a mobile device just fine. Yeah. I don't have all the titles in my head. No, it's not on a per-user base. So basically, you purchase one license. I think it's about $1,000 a month for ADX Studio, and that's it. I should say ADX Studio is or will be part of the standard Field 1 is or will be part of the professional license. I think it's still not fully finalized yet, but most of the things, if you're a professional user, you get access to all of it or parts of it without additional cost, which makes my job a lot easier. Okay, that was a quick overview. Where are we with 2015? So essentially, we have a comprehensive offering on our platforms. We acquired additional companies to address field service and portals, and we fixed a lot of smaller gaps that we had recently. So far, still with me. No questions. Good. 2016. General themes, that's more the overview. So again, we look at productivity. How can we enhance that? How can we make the application richer, make it easier to use for business analysts? And then the enterprise-grade capabilities. We look about all this in a bit more detail now. Document management. Maybe I start showing a few things. Oh. This one is still 2015. So what we had in the web client for quite some time is integration to SharePoint. What you see here is I'm drilled down on the lead with Adrian, and Adrian had a subtab Documents, which is basically linked to a dedicated SharePoint folder, and everything you upload in the SharePoint folder is directly linked to Adrian's lead here. As part of 2016, on the web client, we also bring in OneDrive for Business here. So it's not only SharePoint, but OneDrive for Business as well. On the mobile client, we provide a kind of seamless experience to open those kind of documents inside CRM. I show you now a way that's already available in 2015. For 2016, you can expect the same for Word and Excel and other Office 365 documents. Oops. No, still there. So I drilled down to the opportunity, and one thing that is already available in 2015 is integration to OneNotes. So you can say, well, I want to make some notes link to an activity, to an opportunity, and so on. So I just tap on the meeting notes, and that one seamlessly opens OneNote. And now I can type information here. And maybe if I like, I can also take a picture. I don't know, let's make a picture of here. Accept. Oop. It's saved. OneNote saves automatically. I go back to CRM, and now all those notes are directly attached to my entity in CRM. And the same kind of seamless integration will be provided for Outlook, for all Office 365 applications. Maybe I give you another piece, as we are, I think, quite good in time. One of the very nice features that we introduced in 2015 for the web client is called Immersive Excel. So I'm here, see a list of my open opportunities. I can open that in Excel. I can say, well, open my local Excel. I can also say, open it in Excel Online. Oops. Internet seems to be a bit slow here. So it directly opens that list from CRM straight in Excel Online. I don't have to leave the application. I can change the information here now. I can slice and dice the information. No, that's maybe not a good one. We say here. So basically I have all the capabilities here. In addition, I can update the information and also insert new rows and then say save changes to CRM. From an end user perspective, that's a very compelling and quick way to get the data in Excel without opening any kind of external application. And the nice thing is it also works on most mobile devices. Yeah?
Is that only if you have CRM on there?
Good. So the question is that available on premise? Not at the moment.
Will it be in 16?
No, not that I know of. So from a sales point of view, the nice thing is you don't need to set up anything. When your Dynamics CRM Online runs inside an Office 365 tenant, and if you're licensed for Excel Online or Word Online inside this tenant, you just start a CRM Online, no setup required on the server side, it just works. Downside is it only works with Office 365 Online. What is included in CRM 2016 is that you can define templates. So if you say I want some kind of pivot tables here, some additional nice Excel templates, you can use them and say open it straight with this template, which again, if you have some kind of weekly report, can be quite handy. Okay, that was quickly document management. CRM app for Outlook, that's another interesting piece. We already spoke a bit about the Outlook plugin for CRM. Sorry, CRM plugin for Outlook. So what we have at the moment is for your Win32, Win64 version of Outlook that you've installed on your local laptop, we have this plugin. Have you seen it? Is it worth? Not seen it? Maybe then we spent. No, sorry, I don't have Excel started. Outlook started. So what it allows you to do 99% of your CRM capabilities inside Outlook. You can synchronize contacts, emails, you see opportunities, and so on and so forth. As I said, that's a local installation to your Windows version of Outlook. The challenge with that is, of course, you need to have Outlook installed. What we started to offer with 2015, unfortunately, all men are created equal. It was only made available in preview state for the US, so not for the Australian data center, was a plugin for the web version of Outlook. So you go to outlook.com, you log in, and this plugin then allows you to synchronize contacts and emails inside outlook.com with CRM. So maybe you add Maria as a contact in Outlook. You can say, well, I want to have that contact also in CRM. The other, most likely more important information is that you can enrich that contact information in Outlook with information from CRM. So here, this one is outlook.com. You look at the contact Maria Campbell, and this Outlook plugin is plugged in into the web UI of Outlook, and you see additional information coming from CRM. So it's a very nice ways for sales people or other kind of CRM users who are in the field to quickly see information without leaving their mail client. And of course, the importance behind that is that it runs on any browser-enabled application. So any Android, iOS, BlackBerry, whatever you name it, can leverage that capability. Maybe the synchronization happens on the server side, but I guess that's a bit out of scope for today. Good with that? And I think that's free of charge included as part of CRM 2016. App-to-app deep linking, that's, not too exciting. It's just if you want to open the mobile app and go straight to a specific record, I want to go straight to that contact and so on. Use case shown here is you want to send someone an email and say, in your mobile app, can you please look at this contact or this opportunity in more detail and update it? That's provided now. I think in the long term, it's more important if you do mashups between different kinds of applications. I don't know, someone writes a tailored app for event management and wants to link it to some kind of CRM record, that's enabled now. I think personally, I'm not too excited about this.
But does it,
Yeah, sure.
does it create the link automatically? So from the desktop, I send that email,
Yeah.
copy the link, and it knows to open that record.
It's pretty much the same capability as you know from the desktop. So as you say email link, the link is there automatically. You just can extract it and send it to anyone. And of course, you can also, I think you can derive how the link works. So if you build your own app, then you can do it as well. Yeah.
I think my question is a bit more general. More to, it's in relation to the Outlook and also the mobile version.
Yeah.
What are the offline capabilities?
Offline, okay. About offline for the mobile client, we have one more slide that talk about that. That's coming. Outlook, the Windows version is fully offline enabled. So when you install the Outlook plugin, it asks you, do you want to install a local version of SQL Express database? And if you say yes, then it's fully offline enabled. Good question. It's actually the offline capability for mobile is a question that we heard in the last 12 months very, very often from customers and prospects. Okay, Cortana, it always struggles a bit with my German accent, so I'm not going to demo it. The current 2015 release already has some Cortana capability, so you can say, Cortana, open my opportunities for Adrian. That works. What 2016 brings is additional capabilities and enriching the information that you see further details in the panel, and some more comprehensive capabilities around Cortana, especially in the context of Power BI as well. So you see more information. You can say, tell me everything about Maria, and then you also get information about the opportunities and leads and so on, straight from Cortana. And again, that works on the Windows 10 desktop and mobile devices. Okay, that's another very interesting one, and unfortunately, I haven't seen a live demo yet. When you looked, I spoke a lot about configure once, deploy everywhere. So far, all of the controls that are used in the mobile client also exist on the desktop client. And what we start to introduce is additional controls that are really fully optimized for touch instead of keyboard and mouse. You see a simple example here. At the moment, if you need to type in a probability, you need to tap on the text field and say it's 75 and press a 7 and the 5. With the new release, it's now possible to add additional control, or to use a set of predefined controls and just do it with your fingers. On the next slide, there are all the controls that we are delivering as part of the first release. Here the radial knobs and the arc knobs, I think, are well known in the mobile community. Interesting for me is the calendar piece. So it's also you can have more complex and comprehensive controls. The other one I haven't seen live yet. I'm really interested to see the autocomplete, how that's going to work. I can't tell you yet. We come back to that topic when we talk a bit about 2016 and beyond. Maybe current constraints is only available for the mobile platforms, so not available for desktop or Outlook. And you can't add your own controls at the moment. So take this or leave it, no options to add things.
That implies there's two forms, right?
So
when you write those, you must have two separate forms. So when you say configure once,
the question is, how do you configure it? I can only speculate because my environment didn't have that feature enabled yet. I show you what I believe it will be. But that's my assumption. We go somewhere. We go to the opportunity. Okay. I open the form here. I think it's fair to say that's the way I would do it. So when we have a field here, I would expect that we have an additional tab where you can say, well, so that's my expectation. I'm not sure if it will be like this. That you say, well, if it's a mobile device here, you can override which control is used. But I'm not sure. Good? Was there another question? No. Now I remember what I wanted to do. Task base. 6. One second. So what's already available as part of 2015 are these business process flows that I described earlier on. So it guides you through the different data points that are required to finish a process. It's actually quite powerful and nice. When you see here from qualified to develop, I've set up a simple rule here. If the value of the lead is more than 500,000, we add an additional step where we have to ask for additional information. So that's already available as of today, this kind of guided navigation. And it also can spawn different entities. So if you say, well, we start with the lead, and in the second stage, we actually want to go convert that into an opportunity. In the next step, we're going to a completely different entity. So that's a quite nice way to make complex business processes easy digestible for end users. That's available as of today. It's also available in the mobile client. What we get with 2016 is a preview feature. Preview means you can try it out, but we don't believe it's fully ready for production yet. So there's a little tab under the settings of Dynamics CRM where you can say enable preview features. Then you can start to play around with it. And I understand it as the next iteration of our business process flows. It basically allows to build more complex and more comprehensive business processes, especially when you have one form and you want to render information from different entities. I don't know, as part of a lead, you want to show opportunity details, contact details, sales information about that contact. You can now easily configure it and provide a more comprehensive and streamlined user experience. It's one of those features that I haven't seen in live yet, but it looks quite, what I've heard, it's actually quite cool. But again, only preview, only available for mobility, not for desktop. Another very small piece is web resource and iframes. So I showed you our form designer, where you basically just add fields, drag and drop it, and so on. You quickly come to a point where you say, I want to either embed external content via an iframe, or we provide something we call web resources, which are most of the time either images, HTML pages, or some JavaScript code, where you say, well, in the view here, I want to embed my custom HTML script with JavaScript and leveraging the surrounding API provided by Dynamics CRM. That works as of today in the desktop UI, but not in the mobile client. So some kind of configuration you can do on the desktop is not available in mobility as of today, and that's going to be removed, that constraint. Yes?
With the iframe and web resources, are the security contexts passed through?
You mean cross-site scripting? So questions about cross-site scripting. Of course, if you embed something which is cross-site scripting enforced, you can't embed it. I mean, that's something that we can't remove. There's a special setting for every iframe where you can say, well, enforce cross-site scripting. But if the embedded iframe doesn't prevent it, and you don't set this flag, you can embed it. And it's also then this embedded flag. There is a comprehensive JavaScript API provided by Dynamics CRM, so getting access to all fields, information, and business processes. Inside your JavaScript, you can call out to those information that surround you. It's another small feature, client preview. In the form designer, you can now say preview that form, how it would look like on a mobile device. At the moment, we can only have desktop, small thing. Okay, and that one was raised before, and is most likely the most asked for feature as part of Dynamics CRM 2016. That's the full offline support. So what we have in the moment is what we call a caching mode. So if you're on the mobile device, you look at a contact, you get disconnected, you don't have connection, you can still look at that contact, but you can't specify any kind of additional synchronization features like download my set of contacts, my opportunities, and then sync it back. That's not available. As part of CRM 2016, all that is built out and generally available. When I say general available, there is one constraint. The constraint is it's only available for CRM Online. And the reason behind that is quite simple. We leverage more and more Azure services to build out things. So instead of reinventing the wheel, we look at Azure and leverage whatever is available on Azure. And the middle piece, the core synchronization piece, is based on Azure. Yeah.
So with the offline capability, will that also cover the custom entities?
Yeah. So the offline thing is really fully comprehensive. Everything that you set up and configure, custom entities, custom processes are available. I mean, in general, I have a consulting background. I think offline always sounds great, and everyone wants it. And then when you look at all the nitty-gritty details, like, oh, we have an address validation with an external system, how would that work? So offline is a solution to some problems, but you will never get 100% offline available. Sorry, can you repeat? Yeah, all that. I mean, I think for that use case, it's perfect. I think I don't know if you're a bank and you have a more complex customer onboarding process with credit checks and all that. Can you make it offline available? Maybe. It's a bit of a challenge, I guess. My expectation, my hope is that for CRM 2017, we also made available offline, sorry, not offline, on-premise, but not for 2016. And I mean, I can only speculate here. When you buy a CRM Online professional licenses, you get basically all the Azure service required here for free, and there's no really additional setup required. The moment we open up for on-premise, we have to think about, well, do we give this Azure services away for free, yes or not? And the other pieces, there's some additional setup step required because you need to hook up your on-premise instance into the Azure Online service. And my expectation is, based on experience with our Dynamics marketing solution, which follows the same approach, that at least some customers require a bit of support. So that's, I guess, why we have a kind of phased rollout. Yeah.
Is there limitation on functionality that you can do offline, so create new entities, limitations on the number of records that you cache?
I think that. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing hard-coded. I mean, I guess if you want to download your full CRM database, I mean, performance-wise and so on, you have to do some kind of, best guess, or not best guess, some kind of apply some common sense, but nothing is enforced by the system. Although, as I said, if you start to write server-side plugins, not sure about those. I think that hasn't been communicated yet. So I guess you will always come to a point where some specialized configuration is not supported offline. Okay, I said commercially, again, it's part of professional. I think also, is it part of the lowest one? I think it's also part of basic, but I would need to check. And all the Azure part should be hidden for you. So as long as you have online, I think you shouldn't really be bothered where is that located. It's a hyperscaled environment that provides all the capabilities that you need. And I think you won't really touch that it is based on Azure. Okay, that was another piece that we briefly touched on. So for 2016, we get support for Intune, and that was for me kind of a surprise. It's only available for Intune on iOS. My expectation or assumption is that that's the most commonly used platform, and basically had to prioritize things, so that seemed to be top on the list, but I'm speculating here. And I mean, I guess that's all this encrypting the local database. Oh, no, that's actually should be done without Intune. encrypting all the communication, providing remote nukes, enforcing security policies, all those kind of things should be available as part of that. Is everyone using Intunes here? Okay. Sorry that I asked. Last slide here. The mobile client, the version I just shown you, was released in June or July this year, and that release, as I said earlier on, was only made available for online customers. So the clients that I just showed you will also be available on-premise with the 2016 release. It's just the thing that we just make every second release available on-premise. So I mean, it's, I think, no real development effort on our side. It's just now available with the current release. That was all I had about 2016 so far with me. No further questions? Okay. Then there's no slide, a bit of talk. What can we expect beyond 2016? I mean, the challenge with the future is it's always unknown. So, I mean, the few comments were made. One thing that you see as part of 2016 is that we start to make some features available for the mobile platform first, like the new controls, like advanced offline capabilities, and then later on roll it back to the desktop client. And I think that's what you will see in the future more and more, that basically mobile first, we start to build out stuff for mobility and then bring it back to the desktop. That's a general theme. The other theme is, as part of the productivity suite, that we get tighter and tighter integrated with Office 365, with Cortana, with Yammer, with Power BI, all those things. I guess it's not a big surprise. Looking at the more technology side of things, one thing that was said kind of unofficially, or some rumors are around, that we start to move parts of the core mobility capabilities to Azure. I mean, it's also not a big surprise. And I guess for you as an end customer, it shouldn't matter much if it's a dynamic CRM service or an Azure service, but more and more of the core capabilities that are built out for mobility inside dynamic CRM will most likely move to Azure. Also, on a more technical basis, we spoke a bit about these additional new controls. So with one of the next releases, it should be possible to create your own controls, which I think is quite exciting. At the moment, there are a few limitations around tailoring the user experience. I mean, you can add fields and forms, but if you really want to change how the application behaves, that's not really possible at the moment. And these new controls, or adding your own controls, is the first step to make that possible. It's also to be expected that these features will be eventually rolled back into the web client. I expect that to happen rather soon, so hopefully sometimes in 2017. But as I said, future is unknown. When you attended most of, or some of the O365 sessions here and Azure sessions, it's incredible how quickly things are moving. And also in the mobile space, I'm now in this role for a year. It's quite astonishing what has changed in just 1 year from my point of view. So if I had given this demo a year ago, it would have been looked and feel completely different. And what's quite cool on my side, being a bit more technical, that we start to leverage Azure more and more. So when you look at the web client, we start to use Azure Machine Learning in various bits and pieces now. Power BI gets more and more integrated, the document management, so it's really, I mean, it starts to feel like one stack, which is quite cool. And I mean, my favorite feature of 2015 was this immersive Excel, which is a small thing, but when you demo it, actually makes a lot of sense. What does it mean that dynamic CRM is part of productivity? Well, here's a quick example. We can make this happen, and no one else can provide this tight integration. But I think I'm losing a bit track here. I think we're almost done with an hour. I'm happy no one fell asleep. I'm aware that it's Friday morning, and I guess all of us looking forward to the weekend. Are there any more questions? Anything you would like to discuss? Two, oh.
I guess with the mobile app now becoming available in a much more usable fashion, where do you see the Outlook client going?
So the question is about the future of the Outlook client. I mean, it's a good question. I just had the discussion with another partner. I mean, it will remain and stay for sure, but I wouldn't expect a lot of humongous innovations in that space. I think the focus, from my point of view, is really on the web version. So I think there's more effort on that side, but the other one is going to last. But yeah, I said innovations are to be expected in other areas.
So pretty much we're looking at the product staying stagnant.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you have a compelling feature in the web or the mobility version, it will eventually be backported to the Office plugin. I just wouldn't expect that the Office plugin introduces a great feature and then we roll it to the other environments and platforms. But again, that's my highly biased personal point of view. I mean, at the moment, I spoke a bit about this Outlook web plugin, and there's a lot of focus on that at the moment. So I think from a development resource point of view, a lot more effort is going into this in comparison to the Windows version of the Outlook plugin.
Do you know if there's tighter integration?
Oh, sorry, that's fine. Go ahead.
Sorry, tighter integration sort of coming with Microsoft Dynamics as it sort of AX, as it sort of evolves into AX7 and further?
Questions around integration with AX and other Microsoft ERP solutions. I expect that as well. I mean, we have a connector between AX and CRM as we speak. My, again, highly biased and personal impression is that currently the focus was really to getting out AX7 and making the web version available. And then after that is a bit more stable, we look how we can tighter integrate it. I think we all hope that in the long term it gets one stack, but I think that will be still a long journey. Question is around security and what takes precedence when you have SharePoint and CRM integrated. I think it's a cumulative, so it's a kind of layered approach. I mean, the simple example is when you come from the record in CRM, you're allowed to look at contact Jen Peterson, you drill down, you look at the documents, and then the CRM passes your information or your credentials over to SharePoint, and then SharePoint basically shows in the SharePoint folder for contact Jen Peterson the documents you're allowed to see. That's my understanding, although I'm not an expert in this. It gets more interesting when you now also have then OneDrive for Business. I think the same is applicable there, but I actually haven't looked in the details yet. So there was one there, and then we go, is that okay? That sequence? Yeah.
And one of the problems that we've got in using CRM is tracking BD development and actually reporting on what people are good salespeople and who aren't. And there doesn't seem, we all seem to struggle to get that information through CRM. So everything is focused on the salesperson looking at the opportunity.
Yeah.
But there's different salespeople, and some of them are really good at BD, some are really bad at it. We struggle to kind of look at that, the whole engagement from the life cycle. Is there any kind of thought on CRMs to be able to manage that?
I think it's very difficult to give a generic answer. I mean, there are different bits and pieces. I mean, general on the BI side, I think Power BI is part of the solution from a technology stack point of view. So for more and more reporting business insight, we start to leverage Power BI. Again, I mean, I have a technical background. I think Azure Machine Learning in the long term might provide a bit of insight there. But I think it's more the kind of topic where it really helps to understand a bit better where the actual pain points are. I mean, if you have time, we can happily have a chat afterwards. And I'm not sure. Maybe, are you based in New South Wales by any chance? Okay, then might be a colleague who looks after you, but very interesting to have a chat. Okay, there was another question? Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, can you speak a bit up? No, it's just an alternative. It's just say, well, now, because a lot of customers start to use OneDrive for Business, we say, well, in that integration, you see not only SharePoint, but also OneDrive for Business. It's no recommendation whatsoever from Microsoft side. Yeah. I mean, SharePoint is kind of unchanged, maybe slightly enhanced. It's just another option.
Does mobility client support things like using the camera for attachments, so a photo or something that becomes an attachment, or anything mobile? Mobile often has mobile devices and mobile features, which is more than just a web browser.
Agreed. So some of the features are available. The camera is funny enough in the current release not fully supported. So with some kind of technical tricks, you can make it work, but it's not straightforward. Funny enough, Resco that I spoke about gives you this camera integration. So there's no generic answer. Some features yes, some features no, and again, it depends on the platform. So I just had a chat with a colleague last week, and he mentioned somehow on the Windows platform, it's slightly more difficult to get access to the camera. I never looked at the details. Not sure if that's true. So partially yes, partially unfortunately no.
So our business uses Office Lens a lot. Do you think that might be something that could get integrated with Dynamics?
Yeah, actually, I'm using Office Lens myself. It's quite cool.
That's what we're really trying to get everything on the same page, and it's sort of starting to see everything soften together. But Office Lens has sort of always been that sort of just standalone app. Is there some
The wish was raised, and it was said it's added on the to-do list, but no release date given, whatever that means. I mean, what you can do of today is put it in a SharePoint folder and then surface that SharePoint folder in Dynamics CRM. It's a bit of a detour, not super slick, but at least some kind of solution. So I would say...
we're already getting people to use Office Lens to put it to their OneDrive
Yeah.
business.
Oh, okay.
But ideally,
Yeah.
when we start using CRM in Dynamics, I would like to see that all tie together a bit more seamless. So
Yeah.
put that in
Yeah. If you're not Office Lens, it's a really cool tool, which basically, I mean, I use it. It's a free app from Microsoft. If you're not familiar with it, I use it to digitize my business cards, which I think is quite cool. You make a picture, then it puts into Outlook context and puts the image on SharePoint or OneDrive for Business. There's a lot of other nice features around text recognition and image recognition. So if you have time, free app, nice to play around with it. But yeah, I'm on the same boat. I give you a vote if you ask on Connect for it. Any other question? Oh, sorry, I forgot two things. You are asked to evaluate the session. Feel free to complain about everything you like. If you don't like my accent or anything else, that's all good. The more you complain, the better the chances are that you get a better session next year. And also additional content and all the other bits and pieces around this presentation will be made available online. Any other question that you would like to discuss?
Sorry, it's coming back to ADX Studio again.
Yeah.
How is the licensing? Do you know how the licensing is going to work for that under Microsoft? Are they going to maintain it as a separate product which has to be licensed? Or
So it's
currently, I think you still have to go through as if it was still
Yeah.
ADX.
It's not fully finalized yet. So what was communicated internally is that the Azure parts that you need will be part of the CRM Online license, so no additional license required, and you just need to pay, what is it, $995 a month for it. So as a flat fee, not on a per-user base. That's what I know on top of my head, and I think that's going to come, will be made public in the next, I don't know, 3 months.
$16,000 for a server license. So
Per,
that's probably
per year?
no. Plus that's a perpetual license.
Ah, perpetual, okay.
Plus there's a maintenance cost on top of that. That's how it was under ADX Studios. I just didn't know whether they're looking at those kind of development components as becoming part of the Dynamics CRM SDK itself, or whether it was going to be maintained as a separate product.
I think it's also a bit of tricky. I think we didn't buy the full company. We only bought parts of the IP. That makes things a bit more complicated. My understanding is it will become part of CRM Online, professional, plus the $1,000 a month for the ADX Studio specific part.
There's sort of two offerings. One where you can actually buy the portal itself and use configurations, or one that you can use as a development framework. So
Okay, haven't seen that details, sorry. Anything else? No. Then, yeah. Thank you for staying awake, and thank you for attending today's presentation, and have a nice weekend. Thank you.